In the blistering heat of Zorath's crimson sands, where the twin suns beat down like unforgiving hammers, Vance crouched behind a jagged outcrop of rock, his pulse rifle humming faintly in his grip. He wasn't supposed to be here, not on this godforsaken planet, at the edge of known space, playing hero in someone else's war. As a freelance mercenary from Earth, Leo had signed up for the credits, not the chaos. But chaos had found him anyway. The air was thick with the acrid smell of plasma burns and the distant roar of artillery. The invasion had come swift and merciless, a rogue faction of interstellar pirates, the Vexar Syndicate, descending upon Zorath like locusts. They targeted the planet's crystalline cores, rare minerals that powered half the galaxy's tech. But in their greed, they didn't care about the locals, the elegant, ethereal beings known as the Zorathians. With their pale, luminous skin that shimmered like moonlight on water, pointed ears that twitched at the slightest sound, and flowing white hair that cascaded like silken rivers, they were a race of quiet scholars and artisans, not warriors. Leo had been hired by a neutral coalition to extract key artifacts from the ruins, but plans went to hell when the Syndicate's dropships blackened the sky. Now, amidst the crumbling spires of an ancient Zorathian temple, he heard the cries, high-pitched, terrified wails that cut through the gunfire like knives. Peering over the edge, he spotted them, 3 small figures, no older than human toddlers, huddled together in a shallow crater. Their tiny ears drooped in fear, white hair matted with dust, and their oversized eyes glowing with a soft violet hue darted wildly as Syndicate troopers advanced, weapons raised. "Damn it," Leo muttered under his breath, his heart pounding. He wasn't a saint, far from it. Back on Earth, he'd bounced from one shady job to another, dodging commitments and relationships like they were live grenades. But something about those kids, their innocence in the face of this slaughter, stirred a fire in him he thought long extinguished. Without a second thought, he vaulted over the rock, his boots kicking up red dust as he sprinted toward them. Bullets whizzed past, energy bolts scorching the ground inches from his feet. "Get down," he shouted, though he knew they might not understand. The children froze, staring at him with wide eyes as he slid into the crater beside them. One, the smallest, let out a whimper and clung to his leg, her tiny hands surprisingly warm against his armored suit. The troopers closed in, their armored visors reflecting the sun's glare. Leo fired back, his rifle barking in controlled bursts. One pirate went down, clutching his chest, another exploded in a shower of sparks as Leo's shot hit his power pack. But there were too many. A bolt grazed his shoulder, searing through fabric and flesh, drawing a grunt of pain. He ignored it, scooping up the children 2 in his arms, the third clinging to his back like a backpack, and bolted for the nearest cover, a half-collapsed bunker from some long-forgotten war. Inside, the air was cooler, shadowed, but the walls shook with each explosion outside. Leo set the kids down gently, barricading the entrance with debris. His shoulder burned like fire, blood soaking his sleeve, but he forced a smile. "Hey, little ones, it's gonna be okay. Uncle Leo's got you." The children, though alien, seemed to sense his intent. The eldest, a girl with faint freckles of light across her cheeks, reached out and touched his wound. A soft glow emanated from her palm, easing the pain just a fraction. Zorathians had some innate healing abilities, he'd heard nothing miraculous, but enough to buy time. Outside, the gunfire intensified. Leo peeked through a crack, more troopers, backed by a hovering drone spewing suppressive fire. He checked his ammo low. "All right, kids. Stay low, we're in this together." As the hours dragged on, Leo shared his rations, telling them stories from Earth to keep them calm. Tales of vast oceans, towering cities, and humans who defied the odds. The children listened, their eyes lighting up, even as the siege wore on. He learned their names through gestures. The eldest was Alara, the middle one Miko, and the tiny one Lyra. They were siblings, orphaned in the initial attack, or so he guessed from their fearful huddles. Night fell, Zorath's moons casting an eerie blue glow. Leo's body ached, wounds multiplying from skirmishes at the bunker's edge. He'd taken down a dozen pirates, but exhaustion clawed at him. Still, he stood guard, rifle ready, whispering reassurances. "Humans don't quit. We fight for what's right, even when it's stupid." In the quiet moments, his mind wandered to what he'd left behind, a string of failed romances, women who called him reckless, untethered. Maybe this was his redemption, or just another dumb choice. Either way, he wasn't letting these kids die. Dawn broke with a thunderous roar not from the Syndicate, but from the sky itself. Massive shadows eclipsed the suns as enormous vessels descended, their hulls gleaming with intricate Zorathian designs swirling patterns of silver and violet. The Mother Fleet whispered legends across the stars. The armada commanded by the Zorathian matriarch, a being of immense power and grace. Leo's heart sank. Had he saved the children only to doom them and himself to some alien retribution? The pirates scattered in panic as landing pods deployed, elegant warriors emerging with energy lances at the ready. But as the dust settled, a figure stepped forward from the lead ship. She was breathtaking, tall and regal, her white hair flowing like a cascade of starlight, skin pale and flawless, pointed ears adorned with glowing jewels. Her attire was a form-fitting gown of iridescent fabric that hugged her curves, elegant yet revealing in its sheer panels, a blend of royal splendor and sensual allure that made Leo's breath catch despite the danger. She was Zara, the High Matron of Zorath, mother to the children he'd protected. Her violet eyes locked onto him, not with anger, but with a depth of emotion that transcended words. The warriors knelt as she approached the bunker, her presence commanding yet soft. "You," she said in flawless galactic standard, her voice like a melody echoing through his mind. "Human, you shielded my bloodline from the storm." Leo stood, rifle lowered, the children rushing to her side. "Just doing what anyone would," he lied, his voice rough from fatigue. Zara's gaze softened, tracing his wounds. "Not anyone, only a hero from the stars." She extended a hand, her touch sending a warm current through him, healing his injuries in an instant. "Come, the fleet awaits. Humanity's debt is repaid in ways you cannot yet imagine." As they boarded her flagship, Leo felt a pull not just of gratitude, but something deeper. Zara's eyes lingered on him, a spark of curiosity and desire igniting in their depths. In the vastness of space, amid the hum of engines and the whisper of alien winds, a bond was forming, one that would challenge empires and ignite passions beyond the stars. The journey aboard the Mother Fleet was unlike anything Leo had imagined. The ship, the Orales Prime, was a marvel, corridors lined with bioluminescent vines that pulsed with life, chambers filled with holographic displays of swirling galaxies. Zara led him through it all, her children trailing behind, now playful and restored under her care. "You intrigue me, Leo Vance," she said as they walked a garden atrium, where floating orbs emitted soft scents of exotic flowers. Her gown swayed with each step, accentuating the graceful sway of her hips, and Leo found it hard to focus. "Humans are known as brash wanderers, yet you risked everything for strangers." He shrugged, trying to play it cool. "Kids are kids, no matter the planet. Besides, I couldn't just watch." Zara stopped, turning to face him. Her pointed ears twitched slightly, a sign of interest, he'd learn later. Up close, her beauty was intoxicating, high cheekbones, full lips curved in a subtle smile, and those violet eyes that seemed to see into his soul. In Zorathian culture, such an act binds souls. "You are now family." The word hung in the air, laced with implications. Leo felt a flush creep up his neck. Family or something more? As the fleet warped toward the heart of Zorathian space, he caught glimpses of her world, vast oceans of liquid crystal, cities built on floating platforms, and a society where emotion and connection were as vital as air. That night, in his assigned quarters, a luxurious suite, with a viewport overlooking the stars, Leo couldn't sleep. The healing Zara had bestowed left him energized, but his mind raced. What was this pull toward her? She was alien, a leader of worlds, yet her touch lingered like a promise. A soft knock at the door. Zara entered, alone, her gown replaced by a simpler robe that clung to her form, revealing the subtle glow of her skin in the dim light. "I could not rest either," she confessed, stepping closer. "Your bravery, it stirs something in me. Tell me of Earth, Leo. Of your heart." They talked for hours, sharing stories. Leo spoke of lost loves, the thrill of adventure, Zara of her duties as matron, the loneliness of command after losing her consort in a prior conflict. As the conversation deepened, their hands brushed, sparks, flying literal ones, from her bioelectric field, mingling with his human warmth. In a moment of vulnerability, she leaned in, her lips meeting his in a kiss that tasted of stardust and desire. It was electric, passionate, bridging worlds in an instant. Leo's hands found her waist, pulling her close, feeling the softness of her curves against him. But as dawn approached on the ship's cycle, a shadow loomed. Scouts reported syndicate remnants rallying for a counterstrike. The peace was fragile, and Leo, now entangled in this alien web, knew he had to fight not just for survival, but for the spark that had ignited between them. The tension built as the fleet prepared for battle, Zara's eyes filled with worry and want. "Stay by my side," she whispered. "For Zorath and for us." Little did Leo know, the true storm was just beginning. As the alarms blared softly through the corridors of the Orales Prime, signaling the Syndicate's approaching counterstrike, Leo felt the weight of Zara's words settle over him like a charged atmosphere. Her whisper lingered in his ears, a blend of command and plea that sent a shiver down his spine. The fleet's command deck hummed with activity. Zorathian officers gliding between holographic consoles, their pointed ears flicking as they issued orders in melodic tones. But in that moment, with the stars streaking past the viewport in warp, Leo's world narrowed to her. Zara, the High Matron, standing close enough that he could feel the subtle heat radiating from her luminous skin. She turned to him, her violet eyes darkening with an intensity that made his pulse quicken. "The battle draws near," she murmured, her voice a silken thread weaving through the tension. "But before we face the void, there is something I must understand about you, Leo Vance." Her hand brushed his arm, fingers trailing lightly over the fabric of his restored suit, sending sparks of energy that danced along his nerves. It wasn't just her bioelectric field. It was the promise in her touch, the way her body leaned ever so slightly toward his, as if gravity itself pulled them together. Leo swallowed hard, his mind racing between the impending danger and the magnetic pull of this alien queen. He'd faced death 100 times in the fringes of space, but this was uncharted territory. "Understand?" he echoed, his voice rougher than intended, laced with the adrenaline still coursing from their earlier kiss. Zara's lips curved in a subtle smile, one that hinted at secrets held for eons. She gestured toward a side chamber, a private alcove shielded by shimmering force fields that muted the outside noise. "Come. The fleet can wait a moment longer. My warriors are prepared, it is I who am not." As they stepped inside, the door sealed with a soft hiss, enclosing them in a space bathed in soft, pulsating light from crystalline walls. The air here was warmer, scented with a faint, exotic bloom that reminded Leo of jasmine mixed with ozone intoxicating heady. She moved with the grace of a predator, her robe slipping slightly off one shoulder, revealing the smooth expanse of her pale skin that glowed faintly in the dim glow. Her white hair cascaded freely now, framing her face and brushing against the curve of her neck. Those small, pointed ears, delicate and expressive, twitched as she regarded him, her body language shifting from regal to something more vulnerable, more inviting. "You humans," she said softly, stepping closer until the space between them was mere inches, "you burn so brightly, so fleetingly. I have lived centuries, seen empires rise and fall, yet your act of sacrifice, it awakens desires I thought long dormant." Leo's breath caught as her hand rose to his chest, pressing palm flat against his heartbeat. Through the thin material, he felt the warmth of her touch seep in, a gentle current that made his skin tingle. "Desires?" he asked, his own hand instinctively covering hers, holding it there. The room seemed to shrink around them, the distant hum of the ship fading into a background rhythm that matched the pounding in his veins. Zara's eyes met his, holding a storm of emotions: gratitude, curiosity, and a raw hunger that mirrored his own growing need. In Zorathian lore, a savior's bond is sacred. It transcends words, becomes physical, spiritual. Her other hand traced the line of his jaw, fingers light as feathers, yet igniting fires wherever they touched. She leaned in, her full lips parting slightly, breath warm against his skin. "Let me show you." The kiss that followed was deeper than before, a fusion of worlds. Leo's arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her against him, feeling the softness of her curves yield to his strength. Her body was a marvel, supple and firm, her skin like velvet under his hands as he explored the dip of her back, the flare of her hips. Zara gasped softly into his mouth, her pointed ears flushing a faint pink, a sign of arousal in her kind that only heightened the moment. She pressed closer, her gowned form molding to his, the fabric thin enough to tease the outlines of her gowned silhouette, elegant, yet undeniably sensual, with sheer panels that hinted at the treasures beneath. As their embrace intensified, Leo's mind flickered to the danger outside, the Syndicate's ships closing in, their weapons primed. But here, in this stolen interlude, time stretched like taffy. Zara's hands roamed boldly now, slipping under his suit's fastenings, her touch electric and exploratory. "Your skin," she whispered against his neck, her lips brushing there in a trail of kisses that sent jolts straight to his core. "So warm, so alive. Unlike the cold precision of my people." He responded in kind, his fingers tangling in her white hair, tilting her head back to expose the graceful column of her throat. He kissed along it, tasting the faint salt of her skin mixed with that ethereal glow, feeling her pulse quicken under his lips. A low moan escaped her, vibrating through him, stirring a primal response. The alcove's lights dimmed instinctively, responding to her unspoken command, casting shadows that danced across their forms like lovers in their own right. Suspension built in the air, thick and palpable, as clothes began to fall away. Zara's robe pooled at her feet with a whisper, revealing her in all her glory, body sculpted like a goddess from ancient myths, curves generous and inviting, her da white and flawless, glowing with an inner light that pulsed in time with her breaths. Leo's suit followed, discarded in haste, his human form scarred from battles, muscled from survival, contrasting beautifully with her ethereal perfection. They moved together to a recessed platform, cushioned with soft, adaptive material that conformed to their bodies like a living embrace. The erotic tension escalated as they explored each other, hands and lips mapping new territories. Zara's touch was both gentle and insistent, her bioelectric field adding a layer of sensation that made every caress feel amplified, like sparks of pleasure dancing across his nerves. "Leo," she breathed, her voice husky with need, "you make me feel mortal. Alive in ways I never knew." He pulled her atop him, their bodies aligning in a rhythm as old as the stars, slow at first, building suspense with each deliberate movement. Outside, the fleet's alerts grew more insistent, a distant thunder threatening to intrude. But in this cocoon they ignored it, lost in the building crescendo. Her hips moved against his with a grace that belied her power, her white hair spilling over them like a veil, her pointed ears quivering with each gasp. Leo's hands gripped her thighs, guiding, urging, the friction between them electric and consuming. The air filled with their shared breaths, soft cries, the subtle hum of her energy mingling with his raw passion. Yet, even in ecstasy, suspense lingered, the knowledge that this intimacy was a fragile bubble amid war. As they climbed toward release, Zara's eyes locked on his, violet depths swirling with unspoken promises. "This bond," she panted, "it will change everything." Her body arched, tension coiling tighter, the erotic dance reaching its peak just as a sharp alert pierced the air, a proximity warning, the Syndicate's vanguard emerging from hyperspace. They froze for a heartbeat, bodies still entwined, breaths ragged. Zara's expression shifted from bliss to resolve, her hand cupping his face. "The storm is here," she said, voice steady despite the flush on her cheeks. "But we face it together." Leo nodded, pulling her close one last time, the afterglow mingling with adrenaline. As they dressed hastily, the ship's vibrations intensified, hulls groaning under acceleration. The erotic haze lingered, a secret fire fueling him for the battle ahead. But as they rushed to the command deck, Leo couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the prelude, that the true revelations and dangers were yet to unfold in the chaos of combat. The viewport revealed the enemy, a swarm of jagged Syndicate cruisers, their weapons glowing with malevolent energy. Zara took her place at the helm, her regal poise returning, but her glance toward Leo held a new intimacy, a spark that promised more stolen moments amid the stars. "For Zorath," she declared to her crew, then softer, "to him and for us." As the first volleys fired, lighting up the void, Leo gripped his station, heart pounding not just from fear, but from the profound connection they'd forged. The battle raged, lasers slicing through space, shields flaring in brilliant displays. He manned a tactical console, his human ingenuity complementing Zorathian tech, directing fire with precision born of earthly grit. But amid the suspense of evasion and counterattack, an encrypted signal pierced their defenses, a message from the Syndicate leader, taunting, revealing a traitor in their midst. Zara's face paled, her hand reaching for Leo's in a silent plea. The erotic bond they'd shared now fueled a deeper trust, but the revelation hung like a dagger, who among them could be the betrayer? The fight intensified, ships exploding in silent blooms of fire, the fleet holding but strained. Leo's mind raced, piecing together clues from their journey, suspicion building like the charge before a storm. as Zara commanded with fierce elegance. Her body still humming with the memory of their touch, he vowed to uncover the truth. For her, for the children, for the fragile alliance blooming between human and alien hearts. The encrypted signal from the syndicate leader crackled through the command deck speakers, a gravelly voice dripping with malice that cut through the chaos like a blade. "High Matron Zara," it sneered, "your precious fleet is impressive, but riddled with rot. One of your own has sold you out coordinates, shield frequencies, all of it. Surrender now, or watch your empire crumble from within." The transmission ended with a burst of static, leaving the deck in stunned silence amid the ongoing barrage of laser fire that rocked the Aurali's prime. Zara's elegant features hardened, her violet eyes flashing with a storm of betrayal, as she gripped the command throne's armrests, her knuckles paling against the glowing console. Leo stood beside her, his human instincts screaming alarms clues from their journey flooding back. A flickering comms glitch during warp, an officer's averted gaze in the garden atrium, the way the syndicate had anticipated their maneuvers with uncanny precision. "It's not just a taunt," he said urgently, leaning in close enough to catch the faint, lingering scent of their earlier intimacy on her skin. "They're inside our heads. We need to flush them out now." The deck erupted into controlled frenzy, warriors barking orders in their melodic language, while shields flared against incoming torpedoes, the ship shuddering like a living beast in pain. Zara turned to him, her pointed ears quivering with suppressed fury, and in that moment, the bond they'd forged in the alcove felt like a lifeline amid the turmoil. "You speak truth, my savior," she replied, her voice steady but laced with an undercurrent of vulnerability that only he could detect. "But who? My counsel has served for generations." Her hand brushed his briefly, a spark of energy passing between them, reigniting the fire from their stolen passion even as death loomed outside the viewport. Leo didn't hesitate, his mercenary mind shifting into overdrive. "Start with the logs. Cross-reference access to the shield matrix." As explosions bloomed silently in the void, syndicate fighters disintegrating in fiery halos under Zorathian counterfire, he dove into the holographic interface, his fingers dancing across alien symbols that translated fluidly thanks to the neural link Zara had granted him earlier. The thrill of the hunt pulsed through him, mingling with the adrenaline of battle, ships weaved in deadly ballets, energy lances piercing hulls, debris fields expanding like cosmic flowers of destruction. Suspicion narrowed to 3 suspects: Advisor Kale, a stern figure with silver-streaked hair who'd been oddly silent during briefings, Captain Naira, whose tactical suggestions had led them into an ambush vector, and young Ensign Tiva, whose nervous demeanor could be innocence or guilt. Zara's face tightened as Leo presented the data, her regal poise cracking just enough to reveal the queen beneath the matron, fierce, protective, and now wounded by potential treachery. "Interrogate them," she commanded, her tone brooking no argument, but her eyes on Leo held a plea: "Help me save us." The interrogations unfolded in a secured chamber deep within the ship, the walls humming with containment fields as the battle raged on. First came Kale, his pointed ears rigid with indignation. "I have served your line for 2 centuries, he protested, but Leo pressed, drawing on earthly psychology, spotting the microflinches, the averted gazes. Thrilling tension built as Kale's alibi cracked under scrutiny, a hidden comms burst traced to his quarters. But just as accusations flew, a massive impact shook the ship, a syndicate boarding pod breaching the hull nearby, alarms wailing like banshees. "They're here," Leo shouted, grabbing an energy pistol from a nearby rack as Zorathian guards rushed in. The chamber doors buckled under plasma cutters, and in poured syndicate marauders, hulking figures in spiked armor, weapons blazing. Chaos exploded, bolts sizzling through the air, Kale diving for cover, Zara manifesting a personal shield that enveloped her like a violet aura. Leo fired back, his shots precise and lethal, dropping 2 intruders in sprays of sparks and blood. The fight was visceral, thrilling bodies slamming against walls, the acrid smell of ozone filling the room as he shielded Zara with his own form, their bodies pressing close in the melee, echoes of their intimacy fueling his ferocity. In the heart of the brawl, a surprising twist unraveled. Kale, instead of fleeing, unleashed a hidden blade of pure energy, slicing through a marauder advancing on Zara. "Not me," he roared, his loyalty proven in blood. Leo nodded, respect dawning, but the curiosity deepened. "Who then?" As the last boarder fell, gurgling in defeat, Naira's voice crackled over comms matron, "Reinforcements inbound, hold position." But Leo's gut twisted, her timing was too perfect. They burst onto the bridge amid escalating drama, the fleet's formation fracturing under sustained assault. Massive syndicate dreadnoughts loomed, their cannons belching death, while Zorathian vessels danced evasively, lances carving glowing wounds into enemy armor. Zara commanded with dramatic flair, her white hair whipping as she orchestrated a flanking maneuver, but Leo's eyes locked on Naira at her station. "Captain," he said, voice low and thrilling with accusation, "your vectors led us here, and that signal it bounced through your relay." Naira's face contorted in surprise, her pointed ears flattening. "Impossible?" But the evidence mounted, logs revealing her covert transmissions. The climax built like a supernova. Naira lunged, a concealed disruptor in hand, aiming for Zara. Time slowed in that thrilling instant, Leo's heart thundering as he tackled her, the weapon discharging wildly, scorching the deck. They grappled, her strength augmented by hidden implants, nails raking his skin in a desperate, curious betrayal. "Why?" Zara demanded, her voice a dramatic thunder as she restrained Naira with telekinetic bonds, the air crackling with energy. The revelation spilled in a surprising torrent. Naira wasn't just a traitor, she was a syndicate hybrid, implanted years ago, her loyalty overwritten by neural hacks. But the true shock came as she laughed maniacally. "You think this is the end? The real threat is among the children. Your precious heirs carry the seed of destruction." Leo's blood ran cold, curiosity peaking amid the thrill. "Ilara, Miko, Lyra, how?" Zara's eyes widened in horror, the dramatic weight of motherhood crashing down as the fleet teetered on annihilation. "Secure the nursery," she ordered, but another massive salvo rocked the ship, shields failing in a cascade of sparks. Leo rose, bloodied but unbowed, grabbing Zara's hand. "We end this together," he vowed, their bond a beacon in the storm. Racing through corridors alive with emergency lights, dodging debris from hull breaches, they reached the children's quarters. The sight was thrillingly surreal. The kids huddled, but Ilara's eyes glowed unnaturally, a hidden device in her palm pulsing. "Mother," she whimpered, but Leo saw the anomaly, a syndicate nanobomb, implanted during the initial invasion, set to detonate and cripple the fleet from within. The climax surged. Zara knelt, tears glistening on her luminous skin, her hand extending to disarm it with her bioelectric field. But the device fought back, feedback lashing through her, pain etching her features. Leo joined her, his human resilience grounding the surge, their combined touch intimate, electric overloading the bomb in a burst of light. Ilara collapsed into her arms, the threat neutralized, but the surprise deepened. Scans revealed. The implantation was no accident, it tied back to a larger conspiracy, a shadow empire pulling syndicate strings. Outside, the battle reached its zenith, Zorathian reinforcements warping in, turning the tide in a thrilling barrage that shattered the dreadnoughts. Explosions lit the void like newborn stars, debris raining in silent majesty. As victory loomed, Zara pulled Leo close, her body trembling against his, the dramatic relief mingling with lingering passion. "You saved us again," she whispered, lips brushing his ear, curiosity burning about the greater foe ahead. But in the afterglow of triumph, a curious transmission pierced the calm, a holographic figure materializing on the bridge, an ancient Zorathian elder, long thought dead, revealing himself as the puppet master. "The game is far from over," he intoned, his image flickering with malice. The surprise hit like a warp jump. He was Zara's lost consort, twisted by syndicate experiments into a vengeful specter. The fleet stabilized, but tension hung thick, thrilling promises of more battles, deeper bonds. Leo held Zara tighter, their hearts sinking in the dramatic hush, curiosity about the elder's plans fueling a surprising resolve. "Whatever comes," he murmured, "we face it as one." Her violet eyes met his, sparking with renewed desire amid the ruins, the universe's secrets unfolding like a thrilling enigma, waiting to be unraveled. The holographic figure of the elder Zara's long-lost consort, now a twisted apparition named Vexar, his once noble features warped by cybernetic grafts, and shadowed by a hood of flickering energy, hovered on the bridge like a ghost from a nightmare. His laugh echoed through the speakers, a chilling distortion that sent ripples of unease through the crew, even as the last syndicate ships retreated in disarray, their wreckage tumbling into the void. "You cling to your little victory, my dear Zara," Vexar taunted, His violet eyes, once mirrors of hers, now glowing with synthetic malice. But I've woven my web across the stars. Your human pet may have delayed the inevitable, but the children, they were just the beginning. Meet me at the Nexus Rift if you dare. Or watch Zorath burn from afar. The hologram flickered out, leaving the bridge in a heavy silence broken only by the soft beeps of stabilizing systems and the distant hum of repairs. Zara stood frozen, her luminous skin paling further, the weight of betrayal crashing over her like a tidal wave. Leo felt it too, the drama escalating from battlefield triumph to personal vendetta, his hand still clasped in hers, slick with the sweat of exertion. "Vex are alive," she whispered, her voice cracking for the first time, revealing the matron as a woman scorned, her pointed ears drooping slightly in a rare display of raw emotion. The crew exchanged uneasy glances, their loyalty tested by this resurrection of a figure from their lore, a consort thought martyred in glory but now revealed as a monster. Leo squeezed her hand, pulling her gently from the throne. "Hey, we'll handle this ghost of boyfriend's past," he said, injecting a touch of earthly levity into the thickening drama, though his tone carried the thrill of the unknown. "Nexus Rift. Sounds like a bad vacation spot, but I've crashed worse parties." Zara turned to him, her violet eyes searching his face, a flicker of amusement breaking through the storm, awkward, unexpected, like sunlight piercing clouds. "You jest in the face of apocalypse?" she asked, her full lips twitching, but the moment hung awkwardly between them, the crew pretending not to notice their intimate proximity amid the crisis. As alerts pinged with damage reports, shields at 40%, hull breaches sealed but fragile, the drama heightened with a council summons. Zara led Leo to the war chamber, a circular room adorned with holographic star maps that swirled like living art, the air thick with the scent of healing herbs from automated dispensers. Here, her advisors gathered: Kale, bandaged but resolute; Tiva, wide-eyed and exonerated; and others, their pointed ears perked in anticipation. But as Zara began debriefing, outlining Vexar's possible strongholds, an awkward interruption shattered the solemnity. "A priority hail from the children's quarters." The screen bloomed to life, revealing Alara, Miko, and Lyra in a tangle of glowing toys, their tiny faces smeared with what looked like Earth rations. "Mother!" Alara exclaimed, holding up a half-eaten protein bar Leo had shared earlier. "This chocolate makes us bubbly." On cue, Miko let out a high-pitched burp that echoed through the chamber, a sound so un-Zorathian it bordered on comical, his little ears flapping in surprise. The advisors stifled gasps, one even covering a smile, while Zara's cheeks flushed a rare pink. Leo couldn't help but chuckle, the humor cutting through the tension like a laser. "Told you kids are universal troublemakers. Blame the human influence, our snacks come with side effects." Zara shot him a look that mixed exasperation and affection, the awkwardness amplifying as she switched to matron mode. "Children, rest now. The fleet needs its future strong." But as the call ended, the drama resurfaced. Scans from the bomb residue revealed Vexar's signature tech, embedded not just in the device, but potentially in Zorathian artifacts scattered across the galaxy. "He's been planning this for decades," Kale intoned gravely, heightening the stakes as maps highlighted the Nexus Rift, a volatile wormhole nexus, teeming with gravitational anomalies and pirate havens, where realities bent and ships vanished. Leo leaned over the map, his human bravado clashing humorously with the alien's precision. "So, we're diving into a cosmic blender. Great, I've always wanted to see if I blend well." The quip earned a reluctant laugh from Tiva, but Zara's touch on his arm silenced the room, her fingers lingering with a warmth that recalled their alcove passion, now awkwardly public. "This is no jest, Leo. Vexar was my bondmate. His betrayal cuts deeper than any blade." The admission hung heavy, drama swelling as tears glistened in her eyes, a queen vulnerable, her gowned form trembling slightly, the sheer fabric shifting with her breaths. Sensing the shift, Leo pulled her aside into an alcove off the chamber, the force field humming to life for privacy. "Hey, I'm not making light of it," he said softly, his hands on her shoulders, feeling the soft glow of her skin under his palms. "But if we don't laugh a little, the darkness wins. Tell me about him, get it out." Zara hesitated, her body leaning into his touch, the awkward intimacy building amid the crisis. She spoke of their union, a ceremonial bond under Zorath's moons, passionate nights where their biofields intertwined like stars colliding, producing the children as heirs. But Vexar's ambition twisted him, leading to his death in a syndicate ambush, or so she'd believed. As she recounted, drama peaked with a sudden ship-wide jolt, a probe from the rift, Vexar's voice infiltrating again, "Come alone, Zara. Or your human dies slowly." The threat electrified the air, Leo's jaw clenching. "Like hell," he muttered, but Zara's response was fierce, pulling him into a kiss that was desperate, dramatic lips crashing, her curves pressing against him in a surge of emotion that left them both breathless. Yet, awkwardly, the force field glitched from the probe's interference, revealing their embrace to the council mid-kiss. Advisors averted eyes, Kale clearing his throat with exaggerated politeness. "Matron, the strategy?" Zara pulled back, her white hair disheveled, a humorous blush creeping up her neck. Leo grinned sheepishly. "Timing's everything, huh? Blame the ghost hubby for the peep show." The light moment diffused the tension, but the drama roared back as they plotted a stealth insertion into the rift, Leo volunteering as bait, his human unpredictability their edge. Preparations unfolded in a whirlwind armor fittings, where Leo's suit interfaced awkwardly with Zorathian tech, causing it to glow in embarrassing patterns that made him look like a walking disco ball. "Seriously? I save your kids and this is the thanks?" he joked, flexing to the crew's amusement, while Zara adjusted the settings with hands that lingered, her touch sparking memories of their passion. Drama heightened with farewell rituals, Zara bestowing a pendant on him, a bio-linked amulet that pulsed with her essence, allowing telepathic whispers across distances. "Feel me with you," she said, voice thick with emotion, the awkward tenderness palpable as crew watched. But as the shuttle launched toward the rift, a swirling maelstrom of colors and distortions, the humor faded into thrilling uncertainty. Inside, Leo bantered with his Zorathian co-pilot, a stoic warrior named Rixa, whose deadpan reactions to his jokes amplified the awkwardness. "You humans talk too much," Rixa grumbled as anomalies tugged at the craft. "Only when nervous," Leo shot back. "Or when facing evil exes. Got any tips for that?" The rift engulfed them, reality-warping stars stretching like taffy, time dilating in awkward loops where conversations repeated comically. "Did I just say that twice?" Leo asked, laughing through the drama as Vexar's forces ambushed shadowy drones swarming like angry bees. Laser fire erupted, the shuttle evading in heart-pounding maneuvers, Rix's piloting flawless, but Leo's improvised hacks turning the tide, overloading enemy shields with a burst of human code. Deeper in, they boarded Vexar's citadel, a floating fortress amid the chaos, corridors alive with holographic traps that projected illusions of Zara in distress, heightening the emotional drama. Leo pushed through, pendant warming with her distant encouragement, "I'm with you, my love." Awkwardly, one trap manifested a comical version of Vexar as a lovesick fool, reciting bad poetry, which Leo dispatched with a quip, "Even your holograms are over-dramatic." The climax of this leg built as they reached the core, Vexar waiting in a throne of twisted metal, his form a hybrid horror, half Zorathian grace, half mechanical abomination. "You dare bring this ape into my domain?" he snarled, energy whips lashing out. The fight was dramatic, visceral, Leo dodging, countering with his pistol while Rixa flanked, humor sneaking in as Leo taunted, "Jealous much?" She upgraded to Earth stock. Blows landed, sparks flying, the citadel shaking as Zara's fleet positioned outside, ready to strike. In a surprising twist, Vexar revealed his plan, not destruction, but assimilation, merging Zorath with syndicate tech to create immortals. "Join me, Zara," he broadcasted, forcing Leo into an awkward defensive, pinned as Vexar's whip coiled around him. Drama peaked with Zara's voice through the pendant, "Hold on." Her fleet fired, breaching the fortress, but the awkward rescue turned humorous when reinforcements beamed in, including the children, accidentally teleported by a glitch. "Uncle Leo?" Lyra squealed, toddling into danger, forcing Vexar to hesitate, his paternal instincts flickering. In the confusion, Leo broke free, tackling Vexar in a dramatic grapple, the two rolling amid sparking consoles. "This ends now," he growled, but Vexar laughed. "You think so? The bond I share with Zara is eternal." The revelation hit, their old link allowed him to sense her, manipulate subtly. Zara arrived in a blaze, her presence commanding, tearing through guards with elegant fury. The confrontation swelled, Zara facing her past, Leo her future, awkward emotions clashing as Vexar pleaded. "I did it for us," but she rejected him, her biofield surging to disable his augments in a dramatic overload. Humor laced the fall Vexar collapsing in a heap of malfunctioning parts, muttering, "Curse your human charm." As the citadel stabilized, Zara pulled Leo into an embrace, the crew cheering, but the drama lingered, a hidden failsafe in Vexar's tech activating, whispering of greater threats. "We're not done," Leo said, holding her close, the awkward mix of victory and vulnerability setting the stage for deeper connections. Her eyes met his, promising solace amid the stars, the humor of their journey a balm for the wounds. As the cheers of the crew faded into the background, hum of the Citadel's stabilizing systems, Zara's embrace tightened around Leo, her body pressing against his with a warmth that spoke volumes beyond words. The hidden failsafe in Vexar's tech, a subtle, pulsing signal emanating from his deactivated form, whispered warnings through the consoles, hinting at dormant networks sprawled across the galaxy, ready to awaken. But in that charged moment, with the stars reclaiming their quiet vigil outside the fractured viewports, the greater threats felt distant, almost abstract. Leo's arms encircled her waist, feeling the gentle rise and fall of her breaths, the soft glow of her skin illuminating the shadows between them. "We're not done," he repeated softly, his voice a low rumble against her ear, but his eyes held hers, mirroring the promise of solace. She offered a refuge amid the chaos, a chance to reclaim something personal in the vastness of space. Zara's violet gaze deepened, her pointed ears twitching ever so slightly as she pulled back just enough to study his face, her fingers tracing the line of his jaw with a tenderness that belied her regal strength. The crew, sensing the shift, dispersed with murmured respects, leaving them alone in the core chamber, the air thick with the scent of ozone and lingering energy discharges. "No, we are not," she agreed, her voice a melodic whisper that carried the weight of centuries yet felt intimately present. "But for now, let us steal a breath. You have given so much, Leo, your courage, your heart. Allow me to give in return." Her hand slid down his arm, intertwining their fingers, and she led him away from the throne of twisted metal, toward a secluded annex where the Citadel's adaptive architecture responded to her will, sealing them in a cocoon of soft, pulsating light. The room reformed around them, walls curving into an intimate sanctuary with a wide, cushioned platform that seemed to float on a bed of gentle anti-grav fields. Holographic stars twinkled overhead, mimicking the rift's calmer eddies, casting a romantic glow that softened the edges of their battle-worn forms. Leo felt the tension in his muscles begin to unwind, the adrenaline of combat giving way to a different kind of anticipation as Zara turned to him, her white hair cascading like a veil of moonlight. Her gown, tattered from the fray but still elegant, clung to her curves in ways that highlighted her ethereal beauty, the graceful swell of her hips, the subtle arch of her back, the inviting fullness that made her seem both otherworldly and achingly real. She stepped closer, her luminous skin brushing against his suit, sending those familiar sparks of bioelectric energy dancing along his nerves. In Zorathian ways, she murmured, her breath warm against his neck, "A bond like ours is sealed not just in words or deeds, but in the merging of essences. Will you share this with me, Leo? Here, away from the storms." Her eyes searched his, vulnerable yet bold, and Leo nodded, his own desire rising like a tide he no longer wished to hold back. He'd faced death today, stared down betrayal, and in her arms, he found a living affirmation, a connection that transcended species, wars, and worlds. Their lips met first, a gentle reunion that quickly deepened into something more urgent, more profound. Leo's hands found the fastenings of her gown, easing it away with care, revealing the flawless expanse of her body beneath. Her skin was soft, warmer than he'd imagined, with a subtle luminescence that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat, illuminating the delicate contours of her breasts, the smooth plane of her stomach, and the inviting lines leading downward. She gasped softly as the cool air touched her, her pointed ears flushing with a rosy hue, a sign of her growing arousal that only fueled his own. In turn, Zara's fingers worked at his suit, peeling it away layer by layer, her touch exploratory and reverent, tracing the scars of his human battles, the firmness of his chest, the strength in his arms. They moved to the platform together, bodies aligning in a natural flow, her curves fitting against him like pieces of a cosmic puzzle. Leo kissed along her neck, tasting the faint, sweet essence of her skin, feeling her shiver under his lips as he ventured lower, his hands caressing the swell of her hips, drawing her closer. Zara arched into his touch, her white hair spilling across the cushions, her violet eyes half-lidded with pleasure. "You awaken me," she whispered, her voice husky, as her hands roamed his back, nails grazing lightly in a way that sent waves of sensation through him. The bioelectric field she emanated added a layer of intensity, like gentle vibrations enhancing every contact, making their connection feel alive, electric. As they explored each other, the pace built slowly, savoring the intimacy. Leo's mouth found the sensitive peaks of her breasts, eliciting soft moans from her that echoed in the chamber, her body responding with a glow that intensified, bathing them in a warm, violet light. She guided him with subtle movements, her legs entwining with his, inviting him deeper into their shared rhythm, the awkwardness of their differences his human solidity against her. Ethereal grace faded into harmony, each touch a discovery, each sigh a affirmation. Zara's hands ventured lower, wrapping around him with a gentle firmness that made him groan, her touch both curious and skilled, drawing out his responses with expert care. They joined then, bodies uniting in a slow, deliberate union that felt like the culmination of their journey. Leo moved with her, their hips meeting in a dance as old as time, her warmth enveloping him completely, the sensations amplified by her energy field that pulsed in sync with their motions. She wrapped her legs around his waist, pulling him closer, her breaths coming in soft, rhythmic gasps that matched his own. The platform seemed to respond, cradling them, enhancing the gentle undulations as they built toward ecstasy. Zara's pointed ears quivered with each thrust, her white hair tangling with his darker locks, their skins slick with the heat of passion. In the midst of it, words flowed between them, whispers of admiration, of the bond they'd forged. "You are my light," Leo murmured against her ear, his hands cupping her face as he kissed her deeply, their movements quickening. Zara responded in kind, her body arching to meet him, the glow of her skin brightening as pleasure mounted. The intimacy was profound, a blending of souls as much as bodies, her biofield merging with his essence in waves of shared sensation that left them both trembling. As they reached the peak, the world narrowed to just them, the crescendo of their union, washing over in a shared release that left them breathless, bodies entwined in afterglow. Zara's eyes met his, sparkling with fulfillment, her hand resting over his heart. "This is our strength," she said softly, tracing patterns on his chest, the light in the room dimming to a soothing twilight as they lay together, recovering in the quiet. But even in this sanctuary, the universe intruded gently, a soft alert from the pendant around Leo's neck, signaling the fleet's approach to extract them. The failsafe's whispers grew fainter, contained for now, but reminding them of the battles ahead. Zara smiled, a mix of contentment and resolve, as she helped him dress, their touches lingering with promise. "We carry this with us," she said, her voice steady, as they prepared to rejoin the others. The shuttle ride back to the Orales Prime was a blur of debriefs and scans, the crew welcoming them with nods of respect, the children rushing to hug Leo with innocent glee. But beneath it all, the intimacy they'd shared lingered like a secret fire, fueling their resolve. Zara stood by his side on the bridge, her hand brushing his discreetly, as reports confirmed Vexar's networks were sprawling but vulnerable clues leading to hidden outposts. In the days that followed, as the fleet charted a course to dismantle the threats, their bond deepened in stolen moments, quiet dinners in her quarters where conversations turned intimate, her body leaning into his with familiar ease, training sessions where their sparring held an undercurrent of playfulness, touches that hinted at more. The awkward humor from before resurfaced too, Leo joking about alien afterglow making him glow faintly, earning her melodic laugh. Yet, drama simmered as new intel arrived. Vexar's failsafe had activated sleeper agents across Zorathian colonies, forcing strategic strikes. Leo volunteered for a reconnaissance mission, his human ingenuity key, but Zara's worry was palpable, their farewell a passionate embrace that echoed their sanctuary moment. On the mission, infiltrating a shadowed outpost, Leo uncovered data crystals revealing Vexar's ultimate plan, a galaxy-wide assimilation wave, turning organics into hybrids under his control. The thrill of discovery mixed with danger, ambushes from automated defenses, narrow escapes through collapsing tunnels. Back aboard, sharing the findings heightened the stakes, Zara's counsel debating fiercely. In private she sought comfort in his arms again, their connection a anchor. "You bring hope," she whispered, as they lost themselves once more, bodies entwining in a reaffirmation of life amid peril. The pattern continued: battles won, intimacies shared, each strengthening the other. Leo adapted to Zorathian customs, learning to channel her biofield in subtle ways during their unions, enhancing sensations for both. Zara, in turn, embraced human spontaneity, their encounters blending tenderness with passion, slow explorations under starlit holograms, urgent moments in hidden alcoves. As threats mounted, their bond became legendary among the crew, a symbol of unity. But a pivotal assault loomed: the core of Vexar's network, a fortified nebula where realities intertwined. Preparing, Zara and Leo spent a night in deep connection, bodies and minds aligning, readying for the storm. In that union, revelations surfaced: Zara confessing lingering echoes of Vexar's bond, now overwritten by Leo's presence, Leo admitting his wandering past, now anchored by her. Their movements were synchronized, peaks shared in waves of ecstasy that left them renewed. Dawn brought resolve, the fleet advancing. Leo kissed her farewell, pendant pulsing with her essence. Together, always, he vowed. The nebula assault was fierce, ships navigating illusory hazards, Leo leading a boarding party into the heart. Amid laser fire and collapsing fields, he confronted a Vexar clone, dismantling it with grit and guile. Victory came, networks purged, but not without cost: wounds that Zara healed upon his return, their reunion a passionate celebration, bodies reuniting in joyful affirmation. In the aftermath, as peace settled, their connection evolved: explorations of each other's worlds, intimacies that grew deeper, more nuanced. Zara's glow intertwined with his warmth, creating moments of pure harmony. Yet, whispers of new horizons lingered: unexplored sectors calling. Hand in hand, they faced the stars, bond unbreakable, ready for whatever came. As the unexplored sectors beckoned like siren calls from the edges of mapped space, Leo and Zara stood on the observation deck of the Earthling Prime, their hands intertwined, gazing into the swirling nebula that marked the boundary of known Zorathian territory. The fleet hummed around them, a symphony of repaired hulls and recharged systems, carrying the weight of recent victories, but also the quiet promise of peace, at least for a while. Zara's white hair brushed against his shoulder as she leaned in, her luminous skin still carrying the faint afterglow from their latest shared moment, a ritual that had become as essential as breathing in the rhythm of their lives. "These stars hold mysteries even I have yet to unravel," she said softly, her violet eyes reflecting the colorful chaos beyond the viewport. "But with you, Leo, I feel ready to chase them all." He smiled, squeezing her hand, the pendant around his neck pulsing gently with her essence, a constant reminder of their merged worlds. The children played nearby in a secured play area, their laughter echoing through the comms. Alara teaching Miko and Lyra some Earth game Leo had described, involving imaginary spaceships and heroic rescues. Life aboard the fleet had settled into a new normal: council meetings blending Zorathian strategy with human improvisation, nights where passion reignited like stellar flares, and days filled with exploration probes returning data on distant worlds. Vexar's networks were dismantled, his clones eradicated, and the galaxies seemed to breathe easier, alliances forming in the wake of their triumph. Leo had even begun training Zorathian warriors in guerrilla tactics, his scars a badge of honor among them. Yet, as they watched a probe launch into the nebula's heart, a subtle anomaly flickered on the sensors: a ripple in space-time that shouldn't be there, like a whisper from the void. Zara's pointed ears perked up, her body tensing against his. "An echo," she murmured, more to herself than him. "From the rift, perhaps. Residual from Vexar's tech." Leo pulled up the holographic display, his fingers dancing over the controls with growing familiarity. The data streamed in: not debris, but a structured signal, encrypted in ancient Zorathian code layered with something eerily human: binary patterns reminiscent of old Earth transmissions. Curiosity stirred, mingling with a faint unease, as they decoded it together in the quiet of the deck. The message unfolded like a forgotten diary: coordinates to a hidden outpost, a plea for aid, and a name that made Zara's breath catch: Aloria. Her hand slipped from his, her luminous skin dimming slightly as she stepped back, eyes widening in a mix of shock and recognition. "Impossible," she whispered, the word hanging heavy in the air. Leo turned to her, concern etching his features. "Who is Aloria?" "An old ally," but her expression told him it was more. much more the drama of their past victories suddenly paling against this new revelation. Zara composed herself, her regal poise returning like a shield, but her voice trembled as she spoke. Eloria is my sister, lost in the same conflict that claimed Vexar, or so we believed. She commanded a scout vessel, vanished into the rift during a reconnaissance mission. We mourned her, held rituals under the moons. The signal pulsed again, stronger now, revealing a holographic fragment, a figure resembling Zara, but with hair streaked in silver, her pointed ears adorned differently, pleading for extraction from a syndicate prison world. She's alive, Zara continued, the words tasting of hope and dread, and she claims to hold the key to Vexar's true defeat, a master code to his lingering echoes. The twist deepened as they analyzed further. The outpost wasn't just any world, it was Elisara Prime, a neutral planet turned syndicate stronghold, rumored to house experimental labs where organics were fused with machines. Leo's mind raced. This could be the final thread to unravel the threats, but the timing felt too convenient, too luring. We have to go, he said, his human resolve kicking in, but Zara hesitated, her hand resting on her abdomen in a subconscious gesture that Leo noted but didn't question. The fleet's council was summoned, debates raging through the night, Kale urging caution, Tiva analyzing risks, Rixer readying strike teams. Amid it all, Zara pulled Leo aside to her private quarters, the door sealing with a soft click, the room's lights dimming to starlit ambience. We cannot rush blindly, she said, pacing with graceful agitation, her gown flowing like liquid silver. But as she turned to him, vulnerability cracked her facade. Leo, there's more. Eloria, she and Vexar were close, perhaps too close. Rumors whispered of a forbidden bond before he chose me. The admission hung between them, jealousy a foreign sting in Leo's chest, but he pushed it aside, drawing her into his arms. That was the past. We're the now. Their kiss was tender at first, a reassurance, but passion stirred as always, bodies seeking solace in familiarity, her curves yielding to his strength, the biofield sparking between them in gentle waves. Yet, as they lay entwined afterward, the pendant glowed with an incoming burst, not from the fleet, but directly from the signal. A voice message materialized, Eloria's melodic tone filling the room. Sister, the human with you, he is the key. His bloodline carries the anomaly. Bring him, or all is lost. Leo bolted upright, heart pounding, Zara's eyes mirroring his surprise. What does she mean? He demanded, but the pieces clicked in horrifying clarity as Zara accessed sealed archives, her fingers trembling on the console. The powerful twist unveiled itself like a supernova scans from Leo's initial healing aboard. The fleet revealed subtle genetic markers not fully human, but laced with Zorathian traces. Your ancestors, Zara explained, voice breaking. Earth's early explorers encountered our kind centuries ago, during a covert mission. A union occurred, hidden from history. You're a descendant, Leo. The anomaly in your DNA is what disrupted Vexar's tech. Why our bond feels so profound. Shock rippled through him, the listener's world tilting. Leo's entire life, his wandering, his pull to the stars, suddenly explained by alien heritage he never knew. But the surprise deepened. Eloria's message continued, revealing she wasn't imprisoned, but undercover, having faked her death to infiltrate the syndicate. Vexar wasn't her enemy, he was her ally in a greater conspiracy, a faction within Zorath seeking to purge impure hybrids like Leo's line. The true villain? The council's elder, Kale, who had orchestrated Vexar's betrayal to consolidate power. He's coming for you both, Eloria warned. The fleet is compromised. Alarms blared suddenly, confirming the twist: internal sabotage. Systems failing as Kale's loyalists seized control. Leo and Zara sprang into action, the drama exploding into chaos, corridors filling with clashing warriors, energy lances firing in confined spaces. Leo grabbed a pistol, shielding Zara as they raced to the children's quarters, his mind reeling from the revelation. I'm part Zorathian? He muttered amid the fray, dodging a bolt that scorched the wall. Zara nodded, her hand on his biofield sinking stronger now that the truth was out. It explains everything: your resilience, our connection. You're the bridge between our worlds. They reached the children, scooping them up amid cries, but Kale confronted them in the hangar, his silver-streaked hair wild, eyes blazing. The hybrid taint ends here, he snarled, revealing his purest agenda to cleanse Zorath of external influences, using Vexar's tech as a tool. The fight was thrilling, personal. Leo's newfound heritage awakening latent abilities, a faint glow in his skin as he parried Kale's attacks, strength amplified. Zara flanked, her powers surging, the children huddling behind crates. In a surprising counter, Aloria beamed in via emergency transport, tall, fierce, her silver hair a match to Zara's white, embracing her sister in a tearful reunion. "I couldn't let him win," she said, joining the fray. Her energy whipped, disarming Kale. The twist culminated as loyalists surrendered, the fleet purging the traitors, but the revelation's impact lingered. Leo, no longer just a human mercenary, but a hybrid heir, destined to unite factions. With Kale imprisoned, Aloria explained the full scope, ancient prophecies of a starborn bridge matching Leo's profile, why Vexar had targeted him subtly, seeing potential rather than threat. Zara held Leo close, her violet eyes filled with wonder. "You were always meant for this," she whispered. Their bond unbreakable, now layered with destiny. But as peace tentatives settled, a final whisper from the nebula, another signal, hinting at more hybrids scattered across Earth colonies. The surprise settled in. Leo's journey was just beginning, a galaxy of kin awaiting discovery. Hand in hand with Zara, children safe, Aloria by their side, he faced the stars anew, the twist reshaping everything into a grander tapestry of fate. As the stars stretched out before them like an infinite canvas of possibilities, Leo felt the weight of his newfound heritage settle into his bones, not as a burden, but as a key unlocking doors he never knew existed. Zara's hand in his was a steady anchor, her fingers interlaced with a warmth that echoed their deeper connections, while Aloria stood nearby, her silver-streaked hair catching the viewport's glow, a living reminder of family ties reborn from the ashes of deception. The children, oblivious to the cosmic shifts, tugged at Leo's sleeves, begging for another story of Earth's wild adventures, their violet eyes sparkling with innocent curiosity. The fleet charted a course toward the first signals, origin an Earth colony on the fringe worlds, where hybrids like him might be hiding in plain sight, unaware of their Zorathian roots. But as the Orali's prime warped into the sector, drama stirred like a gathering storm. Sensor sweeps revealed anomalous readings from the colony, Epsilon 9, a dusty outpost of human miners and traders. Shields fluctuating, Rixer reported from the bridge, her stoic face creasing in concern. Possible cloaked vessels in orbit, syndicate remnants, or something worse. Zara's pointed ears flattened slightly, her regal stance tensing as she issued orders, her voice a melody edged with steel. Leo, now attuned to subtle shifts in her biofield, felt the ripple of worry through their linked pendant, a silent call that drew him closer. "If there are hybrids there, we can't let them fall into the wrong hands," he said, his tone firm, but inside, awkward doubts gnawed. What if these kin rejected him, a late bloomer hybrid who'd lived as a plain old Earth drifter? The landing party assembled in the hangar, a mix of Zorathian elegance and human grit. Aloria geared up with energy whips, her undercover days lending a sharp edge, Rixa with her massive lance, humorlessly checking ammo, and Leo, his suit now augmented with Zorathian tech that hummed awkwardly against his skin, occasionally sparking in ways that made him jump like a startled cat. "This thing's got a mind of its own," he grumbled, swatting at a flickering panel on his arm, earning a chuckle from Tiva, who adjusted it with a wink. "Hybrid perks, it's syncing to your unique biology." Zara shot him an amused glance, her lips curving, but the moment turned awkward as the children sneaked in, Lyra clinging to Leo's leg. "Uncle Leo, don't go boom," she piped, mimicking an explosion with her tiny hands, diffusing the tension with unintended humor amid the high-stakes prep. Shuttles descended through Epsilon 9's hazy atmosphere, touching down amid red rock canyons dotted with prefab habitats. The colony buzzed with activity, miners hauling ore, traders bartering in open markets, but an undercurrent of unease hung in the air, whispers of strange visitors and missing folk. Leo led the team through the dusty streets, his enhanced senses picking up faint biosignals that matched his own, like echoes in a vast hall. Drama heightened as they approached a central tavern, a ramshackle joint blaring old Earth tunes, where intel pointed to a hybrid leader named Jax, a burly mechanic with a reputation for fixing anything, including broken alliances. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and laughter, patrons eyeing the alien newcomers with suspicion. Zara, cloaked to blend in, stuck close to Leo, her hand brushing his in a gesture that felt both protective and possessive, sparking that familiar electric tingle. Eloria scanned the room, her silver hair hidden under a hood, but Rixa's towering form drew stares, one minor quipping, "You folks from the circus? That one's taller than my rig." Leo snorted, leaning into the humor to ease the awkward entry. "Nah, we're the cleanup crew, heard you got some hybrid pests." The room quieted, eyes narrowing, and Jax emerged from behind the bar, a grizzled man with faint luminous veins under his skin, mirroring Leo's emerging traits. "You," Jax growled, pointing at Leo, "smell like trouble." "And them," he nodded at Zara and Eloria, "ain't from around here." The confrontation swelled with drama, Jax revealing he'd been hiding hybrids from syndicate hunters, his own heritage a secret that made him paranoid. But as talks heated, an awkward revelation dropped. Eloria recognized Jax from old intel as a former operative, one who'd crossed paths with her during infiltration. "You left me for dead in that raid," she accused, her voice rising, pointed ears visible as her hood slipped, causing patrons to gasp. Leo stepped in, hands raised. "Whoa, family reunion gone wrong? Let's not turn this into a bar brawl. I've had enough of those on Earth dives." Humor laced the tension as Rixa, misunderstanding, hefted her lance. "Brawl, I excel at those." Jax laughed despite himself, the sound booming, diffusing the moment enough for truths to spill. The colony was under siege, cloaked ships siphoning resources while abducting hybrids for experiments. Drama peaked with a sudden alarm: perimeter breaches, syndicate drones swarming like angry hornets. "They're here!" Jax yelled, grabbing a makeshift blaster as the tavern shook from impacts. The fight erupted in chaotic glory, Leo dodging bolts, his hybrid glow flaring to disrupt drone shields, a newfound power that felt awkwardly exhilarating, like flexing a muscle he didn't know he had. Zara unleashed bioblasts, her curves a blur of motion in the fray, protecting a group of hybrid kids who'd emerged from hiding. Eloria whipped through enemies with precision, but awkwardness struck when a drone scanned Leo, broadcasting primary hybrid detected ancestral match to matron line. The revelation hung mid-battle, Jax pausing to stare. "Your royalty?" Leo quipped back, blasting a drone. "Yeah, Bo, later, shoot now." Humor intertwined with drama as Rixa tripped over a bar stool in the melee, her massive frame crashing comically but taking down 3 drones in the process. "Not intentional," she muttered, earning a grin from Leo amid laser fire. They pushed back the assault, coordinating with Jax's locals, miners using ore haulers as barricades, traders lobbing EMP grenades fashioned from scrap. Zara pulled Leo behind cover during a lull, her eyes fierce. "Your blood calls to them, you're the key they fear." Their kiss was brief, charged, but interrupted awkwardly by Lyra's voice over comms: "Mommy, bad robots go boom." The children's accidental broadcast lightened the dire stakes, reminding them of what they fought for. As the drones retreated, leaving smoking wrecks, the group regrouped in the tavern's basement, a hidden hybrid sanctuary glowing with makeshift Zorathian relics. Drama deepened. Jax confessed the abductions targeted bridge hybrids like Leo, to weaponize their dual nature against Zorath, but an awkward twist unfolded. Scans showed Jax was Eloria's long-lost son, conceived during her undercover days, hidden on Earth colonies for safety. "Mom," he stammered, the word hanging absurdly in the dim light, Eloria's face crumpling in shock and joy. Leo clapped him on the back. "Welcome to the family circus. Next up, alien picnics." Laughter broke the tension, but urgency returned with fleet reports: more syndicate forces inbound, drawn by the signal flare from Leo's presence. They evacuated hybrids to the shuttles, drama swelling as orbital bombardments began, canyons crumbling in fiery cascades. Leo piloted one craft, Zara beside him, their hands linking to amplify his powers, shielding the convoy in a violet aura. Awkward humor peeked through when Rixa's shuttle calmed my ships, playlist activated human rock music blasting. Distracting but effective. Blasts of old Earth anthems echoed over the chaos, confusing enemy sensors. Escaping atmosphere, they rendezvoused with the fleet, but the pursuit intensified. Syndicate cruisers warping in, cannons charging. On the bridge, Zara commanded evasive maneuvers, her gown torn but poise unbroken, while Leo integrated hybrid tactics, hacking enemy comms with his anomalous DNA as a key. Drama crested in a standoff, the lead cruiser hailing, a holographic Vexar remnant, a backup clone demanding Leo's surrender. "The bridge must break," it intoned, but Eloria countered, revealing countercodes from her infiltration. The battle raged, ships exchanging volleys, shields shimmering like auroras, debris fields blooming. Leo's glow intensified awkwardly during a power surge, lighting the bridge like a rave, Tiva joking, party mode activated. Amid laughs, they turned the tide, Eloria's codes disabling enemy drives, cruisers drifting helplessly. Victory brought relief, but drama lingered, more signals from hybrid enclaves, a network awakening. In private, Zara and Leo embraced, her body melting into his, whispers of future unions blending their lines further. Awkwardly, Jax interrupted via comms, Aunt Zara? Family dinner soon. Humor sealed the bond, the group stronger, facing the stars with renewed purpose. Yet, as they plotted the next jump, a faint distress beacon from deeper space hinted at larger forces, perhaps the purist's true masters. Leo held Zara close, ready for whatever awkward, dramatic adventures awaited, his hybrid heart beating in sync with hers. As the faint distress beacon pulsed like a distant heartbeat from the uncharted depths of space, Leo and Zara lingered on the bridge, their bodies close in the quiet aftermath of planning, the fleet's engines humming a low lullaby beneath them. The signal's origin traced to a nebulous cluster, beyond Epsilon 9's fringes, a region whispered about in old spacer tales as the veil, a shroud of gas and anomalies, where ships entered but seldom returned, home perhaps to the purists' shadowy overlords, ancient entities pulling strings from the void. Zara's violet eyes met his, a storm of resolve and tenderness swirling within, her white hair framing her face like a halo of starlight. "We cannot ignore it," she said softly, her hand resting on his chest, feeling the syncopated rhythm of his hybrid heart, a blend of human fire and Zorathian glow that had become their shared symphony. Leo nodded, pulling her nearer, the warmth of her curves against him, a reminder that whatever lurked ahead, they would face it not as rulers or warriors alone, but as partners forged in the fires of betrayal and love. The council convened once more, a circle of faces now enriched by new allies. Jax, still adjusting to his role as Eloria's son, his burly frame contrasting the ethereal Zorathians, Eloria herself, silver hair tied back in a warrior's braid, her undercover scars a map of resilience. Rixa, ever the steadfast guardian, her lance propped like a sentinel. Debates flowed like rivers, cautions from Tiva about the veil's gravitational traps, bold strategies from Jax drawing on colony ingenuity, but through it all, Leo felt Zara's biofield intertwine with his, a subtle current that steadied him. As decisions solidified, charting a cautious probe into the veil, awkward humor crept in when the children, eavesdropping via a hacked comms link, chimed in, "Can we come? Lara wants to see the spooky clouds." Alara's voice piped up, earning chuckles that lightened the gravity of the moment, reminding everyone that hope bloomed in the innocence they protected. Preparations unfolded over the following cycles, the fleet transforming into a beacon of unity, hybrid trainees from Epsilon 9 integrating with Zorathian crews, sharing knowledge in makeshift academies where Earth tech fused with alien elegance. Leo found himself at the heart of it, his anomalous DNA unlocking new potentials, faint telepathic glimpses during training, a glow that amplified shields and simulations. But in quieter hours, he and Zara retreated to her quarters, a sanctuary of bioluminescent vines and holographic vistas, where their bond deepened beyond words. Her touch was a language all its own, fingers tracing his scars with reverence, her body yielding to his in rhythms that blended passion with profound connection. "You are my veil," she whispered one night, as they lay entwined, her luminous skin pulsing softly against his, the afterglow a shared aura that chased away shadows. Leo kissed her pointed ear, feeling it quiver under his lips, and replied, "And you're my anchor through every storm." The jump into the veil came with a hush, the fleet slipping through the nebula's swirling mists like ghosts in fog. Anomalies tugged at the ship's time dilations that made minutes stretch into hours, illusions of lost loved ones flickering on sensors, but Leo's hybrid essence proved the key, his presence stabilizing the convoy's fields like a natural counterbalance. Drama built as they neared the beacon's source, a colossal structure, an ancient ark adrift in the chaos, its hull etched with symbols blending Zorathian runes and unknown scripts. Boarding teams deployed, Leo at the forefront with Zara by his side, their suits humming in sync, Eloria and Jax flanking them like family guardians. Inside the ark, Corridors echoed with eerie silence, air thick with dust of ages, holographic archives awakening at their approach. Revelations unfolded in waves. The purist's masters weren't malevolent overlords, but a forgotten Zorathian sect exiles from eons past, guardians of pure blood lines who had manipulated events to preserve their race from dilution. Kale had been their pawn, Vexar a reluctant tool, but the Ark's AI core revealed the truth. The exiles sought not destruction, but reunion, their isolation breeding fanaticism. As defenses activated automated sentinels, rising like spectral warriors, the fight ignited, laser fire crisscrossing ancient halls, Leo's glow flaring to disrupt the machines, Zara's bioblasts shattering constructs with graceful fury. Amid the clash, awkward moments pierced the intensity. Jax tripping over a relic pedestal, his blaster discharging wildly and accidentally disabling a swarm of drones, muttering, "Colony luck strikes again." Rixa's lance jammed briefly on a holographic barrier, her deadpan frustration drawing a laugh from Leo even as he dodged a beam. But drama crested when the core chamber opened, revealing the exile's leader, an aged matron named Alin, her form preserved in stasis, white hair flowing eternally, her violet eyes opening to mirror Zara's. "Descendant," she rasped, her voice a echo across time, recognizing the lineage in Zara and, surprisingly, in Leo's hybrid aura. "You carry the bridge we feared, the fusion we fled." The confrontation swelled with emotion, Ilin pleading for understanding, revealing how fear of change had driven them into hiding, manipulating purists to cull hybrids they saw as threats. Zara stood tall, her hand in Leo's, voice steady. "Fear divides, love unites. Look at us, worlds blended, stronger for it." Leo added his voice, human grit shining through. "We've built families from the stars. Join us, or fade into the veil." Tears glistened in Alen's eyes, the weight of centuries cracking her resolve. In a pivotal moment, Eloria stepped forward, her silver hair a bridge between eras, sharing tales of loss and redemption that echoed Alen's own buried pains. Surrender came not in defeat, but in healing. The exiles' arc integrating with the fleet, their knowledge enriching the Alliance advanced tech to heal worlds, archives unveiling lost histories. Hybrids like Leo and Jax became symbols, their stories inspiring colonies across the galaxy. As peace took root, the fleet emerged from the veil, stars welcoming them like old friends. In the cycles that followed, life blossomed anew. Leo and Zara's bond evolved into a legacy, a ceremony under Zorath's moons, where they renewed vows in a fusion of earth and alien rites, her gown a cascade of iridescent fabric hugging her form, his suit glowing with their shared essence. The children grew, Alara showing early signs of hybrid gifts, Miko's laughter a constant joy, Lyra's curiosity boundless. Eloria and Jax forged their own paths, exploring hybrid enclaves, their family ties a thread weaving through adventures. One evening, aboard a quiet shuttle charting new horizons, Leo held Zara close, her head on his shoulder, the pendant between them pulsing softly. From a mercenary shielding kids in the dust, he mused, to this a life among the stars. She smiled, her violet eyes alight, fingers tracing his jaw. Humanity's spirit, Zorath's grace, together, we conquer not just empires but hearts. Their kiss was a promise, bodies aligning in familiar harmony, the universe unfolding endlessly before them. As the fleet ventured forth, alliances spanning species, hybrids heralded as harbingers of unity, the galaxy transformed. Whispers of purists faded into myths, replaced by tales of the bridge builder Leo Vance, the human who loved a queen and mended worlds. In stolen moments, passion reignited, their connection eternal flame, explorations of each other under alien skies, whispers of desire amid cosmic wonders. Zara's curves, her glow, her essence, all intertwined with his strength, creating a love that defied boundaries. Years blurred into legends, their story passed through generations, the matron and her hybrid consort, saviors of the stars. Children of their line, blends of white hair and human resolve charted unknown realms, carrying the torch of unity. Leo, ever the wanderer at heart, found home in Zara's arms, their adventures continuing in quieter forms, discovering lost planets, fostering peace, raising a family that embodied hope. In the end, as twin suns set on a distant world, Leo and Zara stood hand in hand, watching their descendants play among crystalline shores. "We did it," he said, voice thick with emotion. She leaned into him, her body a perfect fit. "No, my love, we are doing it, forever." The stars above twinkled in agreement, a vast tapestry where humanity's fuck yes spirit had etched an indelible mark, proving that love, in all its forms, was the ultimate force in the cosmos. And so, their tale closed not with finality, but with the gentle promise of new beginnings, echoes of laughter and passion rippling through the infinite.